So thank you so much for all being here today. I appreciate you. First and foremost, it is an honor and a privilege to be here today. And it is true that this is week 2 of a 52-week travel tour for me. And I'm excited to be here. And it really is thanks to John Hibbs. And it really was that cheeky email that got me here to Guernsey. And it is exciting to be here in front of all of you. And, it was not just supposed to be me that was here today. I was actually supposed to be here with my daughter. My daughter just finished high school, and this was supposed to be our trip together because this was supposed to be her gap year. And we were going to be here together, and this was going to be this time for us to spend together before she went to college. But about a month ago, she attempted suicide. And so she can't be with us today because she has to be in the hospital and she has to get her support and all the things that kept her back. And I'm telling you this for a very specific reason. This subject is very near and dear to my heart. And what we're talking about today is going to be very specific to your places of work. But I'm telling you, it affects us all very deeply and very personally. And many of the times when we talk about workplace cultures, they're affecting your team members, the people that are actually coming to places of business. They're very much affected in the very same ways that my daughter is affected with her mental health. And we don't always see it. It's not always obvious. People are affected by their cultures because they spend more time at work than they do with their families. And the workplace cultures are those places where people are coming in and it's often invisible. We find that when they come into work, they don't feel comfortable talking about how they really feel. They're expected to be a certain way, to show up, to hold on to exactly how things are supposed to look and supposed to feel. They don't bring their full selves to work. And they hold on to things that they don't want to deal with because they don't feel safe to be able to tell you how they really feel. And so I'm really proud to be here as part of the Guernsey Mind's workplace partnership, really, because this is the work that needs to be happening right now. I will say that 95% of cultures are what we call command and control. Businesses get started because you have people with this vision of what's supposed to be happening in the world, and they get taught over and over again to go sort of top down, command and control. Do it because I said so. This is the way things always were. This is how it has to be. Before today's presentation, I was talking with Chris, and I hope he'll tell you a little bit about what he's experienced in his fire safety. He was talking about like what happens if there's a fire today, but he actually did a really incredible thing. He used data to look at ways to improve fire safety. And he actually proved statistically that there's better ways to do it. But in his own words, he'll tell you that even after proving statistically that he could shave time off of it, that the teams were uncomfortable because the way they've done it before is documented, and that's the way they've historically done it, and it was the way they've always done it, so the command and control that actually won out over logic. I can show you we can do it safer, I can show you can do it faster, I can show you can do it better, and we can have people use their brains, they can be more effective, and yet, it's not the way we used to do it. So here's what I want to share with you. As we go through today's presentation, it's really important we understand that we get to have these tools called mental fitness. My daughter attempted suicide, and I didn't see it coming. Despite having trained and helped train over 100,000 coaches in mental fitness. The same things I'm going to show you today. 100,000 coaches. And yet I didn't see her struggles. So understand, this is a continuum for all of us. Progress, not perfection. I wanted to give her these same tools that I want to share with you. But as any parent in here knows, we can't force this on our kids, can we? What I want for her is not what she necessarily wants from me, right? True? Right. So it's important that I put my own oxygen mask on first. In fact, I'll tell you, as a side story here, the day that this happened, I went into the hospital, and it was one of my worst days. You can imagine, I'm in shock. After I had her, she ingested about 37 pills. After I had her throw up, I took her to the closest hospital that I could find, and I'm worried about her insides, her physical health. I'm not thinking about all the things that are going to happen after I disclose that she's attempted suicide. And so I learn in the state of New York, where I'm from, that if you've attempted suicide, there's a whole series of things that happen automatically, and I have no control over them. Very specifically, it's called involuntary inpatient care. And what that means is they don't know whether I'm part of the problem or not. As the father, I could be very much part of the problem. They don't know. So they're going to make sure that she doesn't attempt it again, and they're going to watch her and they're going to monitor, and she's going to be part of this hospital process for the next few weeks, with or without my consent. I ask about the patient's bill of rights. I know that there are other places where you can refuse services. Not in this case. And I'm getting really agitated with the nurse. And suddenly I realize I'm hijacked. I'm not at my best. And so I go back after I realize and I compose myself. And I tell the nurse, I'm really sorry. You are seeing me at my worst. And I don't want to be this way. And she said, you get a pass. I understand. I understand what you're going through, and you're just trying to protect your daughter. I get it. But you see, even with all my training, even after 6 years of doing this mental fitness training, I had reached my pinnacle, my hardest day, and I was not where I want to be in this work. But I will tell you, I was able to recover quickly. So even when we have tools like this, we can meet our match. We can find things that hijack us, and we cannot be our best. But with these tools, we can recover quickly. And that's enough. Progress, not perfection. Let me introduce you to little Billy. This is my 5-year-old self. Little Billy is innocent. Little Billy is completely happy, joyous, and free. Little Billy doesn't have any negative saboteurs. There's nothing that's been conditioned. Believes life happens for me, not to me. This is who I want to be in the world. When I show up as little Billy, everything's good. I am happy. I am totally present. I want to go out and play. I want to be exactly with you and having fun. When I show up this way, I'm the best version of myself. Now, when I was 12 years old, I began to create conditions on my happiness. My first condition was that I had to have at least $1 million in the bank. That was condition number 1. I need money. I need a lot of it. Number 2, I had to be married. Of course, I wasn't going to be happy if I was single. Number 3, I had to have at least 2 kids. Now, some of you might be, only child. It's fine. No judgment. But for me, I saw my cousin was an only child, and I did not like how he turned out. So I just assumed all only children were spoiled. And I had a sibling, and I liked the fact that when my parents got divorced, I had someone else I can confide in, so 2 children. I wanted to be a CEO of a successful company. That seemed like a good goal. I wanted to make sure both mom and dad were proud of me. I wanted my brother to be jealous of my success. I'm 12, remember. And at least as successful as my best friend James. He and I were competitive, so I want to make sure that I was at least as successful for him. So these are the conditions of my happiness, right? Sound familiar? We all have these things. Some of them are explicit. I was pretty clear. These are my goals. If I have these things, then I will be happy. Yeah? So let's do a check-in. 30 years later, 42 years old. I had more than $1 million in the bank. Yay! I was blissfully married. Very happy. I had 2 amazing children. I was the CEO of an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company 2 years in a row. That was in the publication. Mom and dad were indeed very proud of me. Brother admitted he was jealous of my success. There was a phone call involved. I got it on record. And I saw that I was at least as successful as my best friend James. Objectively, I was probably even more so. Great, right? So why was I miserable? After going through all of this, it was the first time in my life that I genuinely contemplated suicide. Seriously. And I felt I had everything that I promised myself as a 12-year-old. If I did all these things, I would be happy. But I wasn't. I wasn't. But something in the back of my brain kicked in. And I remember when my dad had the worst moment of his life. This story just came to me when I was thinking about this. My dad had an affair, and he got caught. And my mom caught him having the affair and kicked him out of the house. Said, "We're getting a divorce." And so he went to his mistress and said, "It's over. I'm getting a divorce. Now we can be together." He said, "Oh, no. I only sleep with married men. We're done." So now he's lost his wife, he's going to get a divorce, and his mistress doesn't want to be with him anymore. So he's thinking about killing himself. Goes into his therapist and says, "Give me a reason to live, because at the end of this session, if I don't have a reason to live, then I'm going to go kill myself." You know what the therapist says? Best advice ever heard? Don't be a selfish prick. That's what he says. He says, don't be a selfish prick. What? If you kill yourself, everyone around you will blame themselves. So if you're really, truly ready to end your life, go somewhere else. Pick up and leave. Just go. Go to South America, go to Africa, go to Europe, doesn't matter. Just leave. Because then they can blame you. You're the bastard. You left. If you kill yourself, they'll blame themselves. What could I have done? What could I have done differently? Why didn't I see those signs? What did I know? Blah, blah, blah. So, go. If you're truly ready, then you're ready to make a change. That's the story I heard. And I said, okay, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to change. And I also realized in that moment, I was ready to change everything. And I also realized in that moment, I was doing all of those things that I promised myself as a 12-year-old, I was doing them for me. I wasn't doing it for anyone else. All of that started me on my journey of transformation. What do you do when you want to be on a journey of transformation? You go to a Tony Robbins event, right? I went to UPW. This is me, by the way. I had a whole incredible journey with Tony Robbins. That's a whole different story. I won't get into it now, but I ended up interviewing him for his Netflix special, I'm Not Your Guru. I ended up standing next to him when he rang the NASDAQ opening bell. But the point is, I went on all this journey of transformation, and what's crazy is, I wasn't doing it for me. I was actually becoming a servant leader. How can I help other people? I started writing for Inc. I started talking about my stories of transformation. Again, not for me. I started looking out there. How can I help other people with my experiences of transformation? How can I share my journey from going from a place where I wanted to end my life to a place of how can I change everything? How can I support? How can I be of service? How can I be a servant leader? That kept leading me to more and more incredible experiences. I got to fly down and speak opposite of Sir Richard Branson. I got to do the same thing with Jocko Winfrey, who was he wrote Extreme Ownership. I became a 5th degree black belt. I also did a 140.6 mile Ironman. The whole point is I changed everything. But the one thing that I realized is as I kept doing all this transformational work, it was still never enough. There was still something missing because it was not sustainable. All this transformation, if you go to a Transformation Tony Robbins event, what's the solution? Go to another Transformation Tony Robbins event. What do you do again? Go to another Transformation event, Tony Robbins event. You just keep going, you keep going, you keep going. But I wanted to have it be sufficient. And I couldn't find what that answer was. So here's why I'm here in front of you today. As I continued to do my research, what I found was mental fitness. This is what I'm coming to. All of that was to get you to this point, okay? Mental fitness, definition: your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset, okay? Your impact on your peak performance, peace of mind, wellness, and healthy relationships. It's based on a research foundation on breakthrough research from Shirzad Shamin. He wrote the New York Times bestselling book, Positive Intelligence, Positive Psychology, Performance Science, Neuroscience, and Cognitive Behavior Psychology. Hundreds of CEOs, as well as Stanford students, world-class athletes, 500,000 participants from 50 countries, thousands of PQ coaches, and research summarized in his book. Now, factor analysis is the massive simplification. It's when you take thousands of colors and break them down to 3, red, blue, and yellow, right? So you take thousands of colors, you break them down to 3, red, blue, and yellow. You can make any color you want with just 3 colors. So the same thing is true for the root of mental fitness. Your saboteur interceptor, being able to intercept your saboteurs, go to your sage brain, and then do self-command. That's it. It's a very simple operating system. You have 10 saboteurs, and you have 5 sage powers. The reason I love this is because of its simplicity. You can do it anytime, anywhere, at any point. We all have to judge. We judge ourselves, we judge other people, and we judge circumstances. You're judging me right now. How's this guy doing? Is this guy wasting my time? Do I like this information? Is this guy full of shit? Like, it's happening. I know it's happening because we all do it, right? Would I rather be here or should I be outside? Is this worth my time? Like, it's natural. We judge ourselves. We judge our circumstances. It's a natural occurrence. It's how we survive as human beings. And if that were all it would be a fair fight. Because on the opposite side of our judge is our sage, little Billy, right? Balancing it out. But there are also your accomplice saboteurs, of which there are 9. This is how they gang up on your sage. You have your controller, your hyperachiever, and your restless. Your stickler, your pleaser, your hypervigilant, your avoider, your victim, and your hyperrational. Now, I share those with you because some of you already know what your top 2 accomplished saboteurs are. For me, it was obvious when I saw this chart. Controller, hyperachiever. I was unhappy after I accomplished all those things I shared because my hyperachiever kept moving the goalpost. Kept sharing, it's like, hey, it's not enough. Doesn't matter if you have $1 million in the bank, now you need 2 million. Doesn't matter if you have 2 million, now you need 5 million. There was never an end. Didn't matter. There's always going to be more that you needed. The controller, have to do it my way. Doesn't matter if your way works. My way's better because it's my way, right? So every single one of these accomplished saboteurs would always pair up with the judge and have you do it in a way that was going to take away your joy. So you might already know what your top 2 accomplished saboteurs are. But if you don't, I will put this up at the end of the presentation, or you can do it now. This is the QR code. In 5 minutes, you can answer a few questions and you'll know your top 2 saboteurs, and you can do it totally for free. This is called the Saboteur Assessment. And what it does is it allows you to know for yourself what your top 2 accomplished saboteurs are. You will then get a report that tells you not only what your top 2 saboteurs are, but also the characteristics and thoughts. You'll immediately see, oh yeah, those are the thoughts I have, those are the characteristics I experience. That's great. In addition to that, you'll get a little understanding of how you are being run by your saboteurs. So your saboteurs are from your brainstem and your limbic system. And I'm going to oversimplify this by saying it's part of your left brain. I know that is an oversimplification. Anyone here who is studying neuroscience will tell you that's an oversimplification. I acknowledge it. I'm submitting it. I'm not going to debate that. I'm just telling you it is a way to sort of say there is a left brain, right brain preference, whatever that is. But basically, there's different ways that your brain operate. The sage is the middle prefrontal cortex. It's your empathy circuitry and typically is more in your right side of your brain. The point is you're balancing out these different parts of your brain. Your saboteurs motivate you through negative emotions, and your sage motivates you through positive emotions. So your fear, your stress, your anger, your guilt, your shame, your insecurity, your empathy circuitry, your creativity, your passion, and your purpose. Now, at this point, I usually get the people will say, hey, I need that. I know I did. I was like, I can't get my team members to work without stress. They need the stress. You know, it's like if they don't have that sense of fear of losing their job, they're not going to go to work every day. If they don't have the stress of their job, they're not going to do the work I need them to do. And there's some truth in that. But the thing is, you're not getting the best work out of your team. You can still get the same results with your empathy, your curiosity, creativity, passion, and purpose. It just takes a little bit more effort. So you might generate success, but you're not going to generate happiness and long-term sustainability. This will generate your highest success and sustained happiness. Lower turnover, longer-term results. So the question I next get usually is, aren't negative emotions good for you? To which I ask, is pain good for you? Hand on the hot stove? Yes. Pain is good for you, just like negative emotions are good for you for about 1 second. Just, ow! Yeah, it's good for you for 1 second. But staying in the negative emotion hurts your ability to see clearly and respond with empathy, curiosity, creativity, and laser-focused action. So negative emotions, when you stay in them, that's when you have your saboteurs running the show. So if you feel that anger for a second, it's like, okay, pay attention. If you're in anger, and you're in anger for minutes to hours to days, you're in your saboteurs. And that's who's running the show, and that's never good. Ever write that angry email? It's fine if you write it, don't send it. Right? Get it out, but don't send it. This is my point. If you're doing things in anger, it's not coming from your sage brain. And so the idea, if you need to release it, that's fine, but don't take action. Don't make decisions when you're in your saboteurs, right? That's the difference. That's what I'm talking about. I am a 1.5 million mile flyer on United alone. I got so cozy with the pilots and the attendants that one day I was getting on the plane early and the pilot said, hey, have you ever seen the inside of the cockpit? I said, no. He said, come on in. 747, huge, right? He says, take a look. And I swear, hundreds of buttons and dials. And it was just overwhelming. And I said to the guy, the pilot, I said, how do you do this? I look at all this and it's overwhelming. How could you possibly fly this machinery? He goes, I pay attention to 3 things. My altitude, my navigation, and my speed. That's it. All these buttons over here, they're just flashing lights. I see a flashing light, and I asked my co-pilot, hey, can you take a look at that? That's it. And yeah, you know, if there's a problem, we'll fix it. But I can't put all my attention on the little flashing light, or we'll crash the plane. Same here. If we put all of our attention on the saboteur flashing light, we are completely hijacked, and we're not going to be our best self. Think about it. When we are focused on the saboteur contagion, we are not our best self. How many times do we get pulled away from who we wish to be in the world because we're focused on the flashing light? That's the point. Saboteur intercept. See the flashing light? Stop it from ruining your day, from the moment, or longer. Switch to sage. Self-command. Easily said. How do we do it? Sage lives in a region of your brain that's associated with positive emotions, peace and calm, clear-headed focus, creativity, big picture, operates from the sage perspective, that every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or opportunity. Every circumstance can be turned into a gift or opportunity. Let's take some examples. You lose your biggest client. How is that a gift? Let's get real. You know, I invested $300,000, lost it all. How is that a gift? See, if you are listening to your saboteurs, it's not. We don't want to lose our biggest client. We don't want to lose $300,000. It's ridiculous. How can that be a gift? Because we're unwilling to see the bigger picture. So let's go through it. I lose my biggest client. If I'm willing to explore, why did I lose the biggest client? It's so much more valuable than the client themselves. I see why they left. What was it specifically that made them leave? Was it my service? Were my prices too high? Did I not deliver what I said I was going to do? Was there a competitor doing something much better than me? Was there something else that has changed in my industry that I wasn't paying attention to? What is it? If I can figure that out, I'm going to be a much better company, and I will be much sharper and better for the long term. If I'm willing to take a look at the things maybe I didn't want to look at, it'll make me better. When I lost $300,000, and this is real, I realized I was becoming a speculative investor, and I use that in air quotes. I was gambling. I wasn't gambling with my money. I wasn't investing. It was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, and I swear to God, the financial liquidity that I have today is because of that loss. I realized I didn't know what I was doing, and I was making investments like I was gambling. Instead, I found a fiduciary. I run everything by that fiduciary, and I've gotten so much smarter with my investments, and I've had so much fewer losses because I'm being much smarter about my own risk tolerance, and I'm knowing exactly what I need to do now. It was great. Did it hurt? Yes. Did it teach me valuable lessons that have helped me for the rest of my life? Yes. Gift. Can we see it? Are we willing to see it? Are we willing to look? Every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or opportunity. My daughter attempting suicide. Seriously, she gets the help she needs. It happened in New York instead of here. Can you imagine? We're traveling around the world and then she attempts suicide? Oh my God. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. What kind of healthcare? What kind of healthcare do we have? What kind of access do we have? I mean, the thing is, these are the things that we don't even think about. Today, she's getting the help she needs. She's getting exactly the support she needed at exactly the time she needed it. So this is my point. Are we willing to look? And yeah, at the time, we don't want it to happen. The bad stuff is just that. But who can say what's good or bad? If I truly believe that life is happening for me, not to me, I can trust that there's a bigger arc that I don't necessarily understand at the time it's happening. That's the sage perspective. So, which perspective is true? Saboteur, this is bad, bad, bad? Or sage, this is a gift? Whichever you believe becomes true. I want to turn attention for a second to another book. So I talked about Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Shamin. There's one other book that I want to turn your attention to by Stephen M. R. Covey, which is called Trust and Inspire. And it really sort of encapsulates what we're talking about today in terms of cultures of businesses. As I said, about 95% of cultures today are focused on command and control. This is the opposite. The 5% of cultures that are alternative today are trust and inspire cultures. And that is that I actually I'm allowing people to come in and find their voice and use their voices inside organizations because I trust you and I'm trusting you and inspiring you to bring your whole self into work. It is rare. It is a gift. It is a growing change in cultures today, but it's something that I encourage you to look into if it's something you want to see shifting in our cultures. And what I'm saying, the reason I'm bringing this up in this moment is because and I hope, Chris, you'll talk a little bit about your experience. When we are looking to shift our cultures, one of the things we want to look at is what is the alternative to what we're seeing as the dominant culture in businesses today. If we want to see what is the true alternative to command and control, it is trust and inspire. What that means is that when we are looking at our employees and our team members, it is how do we actually find ways to trust them and inspire them to bring their whole selves to work. When we trust them, it means that we are finding ways to show them that we trust them, understand those confines, like what are the places in which we can inspire them to show up fully into their places of work, help them understand their roles, help them understand that it's okay to fail, and then what happens within those failures so they can clean up their failures and learn from them. So it is a process, but it is also something that we'll continue to learn together. So if we want to move out of those command and control cultures, this is a really good book to be able to help share what that could actually look like. One example is from Nedra Mooney, who is a former CEO of Pepsi. And when she was the first female CEO for Pepsi, she went back to India where she's from, and she was brought out, and all of her parents, she was with her parents, and all of her parents' friends came up to her parents and said, "Congratulations, you did such a good job raising your daughter." And she's like, "Hey, I'm the first woman CEO. This is incredible. Like, I did all this work, and you're congratulating my mom and dad? What the hell? I did the work." But it was a great insight. She realized that, like, it was actually, her parents being so beamingly proud, that was this beautiful moment where she realized, like, as much as she did all this work for herself, all of her friends congratulating her parents gave her this, like, tipping point. She's realized that's the thing that she was missing. And so she went back and she said, okay, if I want to build a trust and inspire culture inside of PepsiCo, I'm going to take this lesson and I'm going to build it into my management team. So she went back and she wrote notes to every single family member of her executive management team, to the children and to the parents of every single one of the executive team members. And so she said to the kids, "Thank you for letting your mommy work with me. I know she's spending many late nights at PepsiCo, and I'm really sorry that I'm taking her away from you, but she's doing this incredible job for PepsiCo, and I know she's doing some incredible things, and I'm gonna let you tell her all about what she's doing, but thank you for letting me borrow your mommy," right? And that kind of stuff. And so same thing with the parents. You must be so proud of your child. She's doing such a great job, blah, blah, blah. Imagine the loyalty that that created. Imagine the incredible kinship that created. I'm using this as an example because it's going far above and beyond what is expected in a workplace culture. It's how we change the relationship and change the dynamic of command and control to trust and inspire. So, saboteur, intercept, sage, and self-command. So I'm going to give you an example of how we do this in real time, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So let's imagine that you are in a meeting and someone's getting hijacked. In the culture you want to create, you got to make it safe to have a timeout. What I mean by that is that you make it safe for anybody to call for that timeout and not have to explain why they're calling for it. I've lived this experience. And the idea here is that you don't do it when it's all hot and heavy, right? You do it as a way, we're going to try something new inside of our company, that if anyone's experiencing anyone else, including that, you ask for it for yourself. Not, it's like, use it as a shield, not a sword. Not like, hey, you're hijacked, right? That's calling someone out. I need a PQ rep. I need a break. So you're saying it so there, even if someone else is hijacked, I need a PQ rep. Can we just take 10 seconds, right? That makes it safe for anybody to be able to call a PQ rep, and it takes courage to do that. The idea here behind that is it calms everyone down. And so if everyone, let's say we're in the middle of a meeting and we've just missed our fourth quarter numbers. Like everyone's like, oh, now we're gonna do, everyone's getting all fired up. No great decisions are being made when everyone's fired up. So we need to bring the temperature in the room down so we can have a very candid, sage conversation instead of making decisions in our hijacked brain. Yeah? So follow along with me, or you can just observe, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to show you how you can take 10 seconds to bring the temperature of the room down. Ready? So I'm going to close my eyes. Feel free to follow along if you'd like. Take a nice deep breath in and let it out. Another nice deep breath in and let it out. One more nice deep breath in and let it out. And then just return to your normal breath. Noticing the temperature of the air as it enters your nostrils. and the temperature of the air as it exits your nostrils. Bringing all your attention to your breath. And notice the rising and falling of your chest or stomach with each breath. And now listen to the farthest away sound that you can hear. And now listen to the closest sound that you can hear. And if that closest sound isn't the sound of your own breathing, hear your breathing now. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. Please open your eyes so slowly that you can feel your eyelids as you open them. Go ahead and open your eyes. If you followed along, notice the difference. Your heart's a little slower. You're calmer. You're more centered. You're more present. Just a few seconds, less than a minute. And in this space, you've activated your sage brain. And in this space, you're able to make better decisions. And imagine if you had a space where you could call that out and that was normalized. And if anyone else was needing that, you could give it to them. And that wasn't considered weird, but that was considered the norm. I've experienced this because I worked at Positive Intelligence for 6 years. And even the CEO, Shirzad Chamine, who wrote the book, Positive Intelligence, would get hijacked. And I would call for PQ reps, and he would thank me afterwards, because he would notice only afterwards that he was feeling that saboteur energy, but he couldn't feel it in the moment. And he would do the same thing for me and each other. And when we all got to do that, we created a culture of sage contagion. We would notice each other's saboteurs, and we wouldn't call each other out and say, hey, your controller is showing up right now, or I can feel your judge. No one would do that. We'd say, hey, I need a PQ rep. I need a moment. Can we all just do, and we would do it for each other. When that became normal, it changed everything. It helped us support each other. It helped us become more sage. And from there, we could actually support the better decision-making in the organization. So the simplicity of the operating system, if you're feeling negative emotions, stop. You're in saboteur mode. Do some PQ reps to quiet your saboteur and activate your sage. Assume the sage perspective that every problem can be converted into a gift or an opportunity. Generate the gift by using the sage powers like empathy, curiosity, creativity, and calm, clear-headed action. Is it really possible to shift from saboteur to sage response, even in tough challenges? Yes, but the speed and depth of the shift depends on our mental muscle strength. So here's the bad news. What we've done today is the 20% insight. How many of you have gone to a presentation like this and say, got it, I understand. And then you go back tomorrow and it's exactly as it was. Yeah? I've done it. Or even a weekend event. Oh, this is brilliant. I love this. Nothing changes. The reason is because insights are only 20% of the picture. That's what we got today. We got some insights. Great, good stuff. It's now the 80% muscle building that is the challenge. 1% improvement every day, that's what matters. That's what makes the difference. So if you want to take action, there's a few steps that will keep you in the momentum from today's session, right? Number one, the saboteur assessment. I put the QR code up. If you didn't snap it, I'll give you another chance to do that. You can download my free audio and PDF ebook. I'll give you another QR code to do that. You can apply anything that you've learned today. If you are trying to apply this to your business, I'll give you another tool which is totally free. AskBill.us, it's my AI engine, also totally free. Follow up in collaboration with Mind Guernsey, excuse me. So if you didn't already get it, this is the QR code for the Saboteur assessment. Give you a second to snap that. Next QR code is my book, Sage Business Development. This is both the audiobook and the PDF version, totally free. Just one caveat, I did cheat. The AI, this is the AI audiobook. I did not read it. I grew up with dyslexia. I did my first audiobook with my first best-selling book called The 3 Rules of Marriage. It was painful. So instead, I trained on 11 labs. It does sound like me, but you can clearly tell a few points during the book that it is AI, not me, that's reading the book. But it is a 15-hour book, so you can trust that it is all the content, but it is definitely AI reading my book. But it is there, it's free, so, there it is. PDF and AI version of my audiobook. And the actual AI itself is AskBill.us. This is a completely interactive engine. It's 30 years of content put into an AI engine. So the difference between this and ChatGPT is the entire internet. This is just my content. So anything, it's as if you're asking me questions, it's all based on answers I would give you in real life. And last thing is follow up in collaboration with Mind Guernsey. So here's the thing, this is what Mind Guernsey does. The reason I'm here and the reason I'm having this conversation is this is what this group does, is helping organizations like yours do this kind of work. So make sure that you take advantage of this resource. And with that, to deepen your learning by asking questions. So we have the QR code we put in the beginning. I will leave it up. And from this point forward, let's get into it even further. Thank you.